America's pastime has been a part of the Vegas community for over 40 years. And as our city grew, so did the love of the game. Now, excitement is growing for our next home team. All season long, Fox 5 and the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network are covering athletics baseball on the field, in our community, as we build our future together. America's pastime will soon call the Valley home. Play ball, Las Vegas. This is Covering the Bases with the A's.
What's up, baseball fans? Welcome to a brand new show, the first ever Vegas show devoted strictly to athletics baseball. This is Covering the Bases with the A's. I'm Mike Davis. Kevin Bollinger, great to be with you.
And it is a lot of stuff to go on deck here for this as we're talking about a big weekend for the Athletics last weekend as they inducted the big three into the A's Hall of Fame. Plus, Nick Kurtz hit an absolute bomb over the weekend against the Cincinnati Reds. Lawrence Butler reached the 2020 mark. A's insider Jessica Kleinschmidt going to be talking about Kurtz and Butler, and we're going to go on the farm to talk about the big A's prospect, DeVries, and the Midland Rockhounds as they get ready to start the playoffs.
I want to thank you fans, just like the drums banging in the outfield. You guys are the heartbeat of the Athletics, no matter where they play. And we're all going to hear those drum beats in our hearts for years, you guys.
That's good. Well, over the weekend, the A's Hall of Fame inducted 4 new members, including the big three, Tim Hudson, Barry Zito, Mark Mulder, along with veteran broadcaster Monty Moore. Now, the big three, of course, propelled the A's to 4 consecutive playoff bursts in the early 2000s. Monty Moore called games on the radio in the 60s and 70s. Sutter Health Park over the weekend filled with all kinds of legends for the ceremony. And here's the big three talking about what it meant to go in together.
It's really cool, man, especially to do it with these two guys. I mean, we kind of did everything together. We learned together. We had a lot of success together, and we failed together. So to be able to do it with them, they're, I've said people, they're kind of like brothers, and it's a really special day for my family and I, and go in with those two.
To be, shoulder to shoulder with Huddy and Mulder is just, that's everything. It would be very strange doing that without them.
I never pictured it any other way if it would have ever happened, just because, our careers were always synonymous with each other, and you really never said one without the other early in our careers, and I feel like we each owe each other a lot of gratitude for how our careers turned out. I know I wouldn't have been nearly as good of a pitcher if I didn't start my career with those guys.
Yeah, it was a special moment for the trio who were each drafted by the A's, a trio that led a rotation that became the envy of the league from 2000 to 2004. Mulder, Hudson, and Zito set the stage for the A's to reach the postseason in 4 consecutive seasons.
And they all look like they can still go out there and pitch right now, don't they? For 5 years,
they
the
look
big
good.
three. They averaged 96.6 wins on those A's teams for 5 years, and all of them really dominated, especially Zito, who in 2002 won the Cy Young Award with a 2.75 ERA in 35 starts.
Yeah, so Kevin, you were there at Sutter Health Park for the ceremony. Lots of green jackets from the Bash Brothers, Raleigh Fingers, Tony La Russa. So tell me, what did the big three mean to the A's in a historic sense, and just how special was it to see all those guys again together?
Yeah, well, they meant a lot, and they still mean a lot. Not only in getting wins back then and having 3 straight guys in your rotation who all could essentially be aces, but also the fact that the personality makeup really kind of perfect to headline those A's teams and diverse enough to make it that much more interesting. And keep in mind, the A's had the World Series teams in the early 70s. They had those World Series teams in the late 80s. Both eras with dominant players and big personalities. Those early 2000 teams, essentially the next big group for the Athletics. They got the fan base fired up and believing again. And to see all of those Hall of Famers together, the history that they represented was really so cool. Just being on the field before the ceremony, watching them interact with each other, maybe eavesdropping a little bit on some of the stories that they were talking about. It's really as good as it gets. The A's didn't start their Hall of Fame until 2018. There's only 32 players right now that have been inducted into the Hall of Fame, but it's something that they're going to do every year. So we're going to see it grow once the team moves here to Las Vegas in 2028.
I love it. I love that man bun, too, from Zito. You got to love that. All right, so now on a historic night in front of a who's who of A's alumni, the team's star rookie made even more history.
2-2 to center field. Benson back. There she goes.
Good Lord.
The reaction from Dallas Braden really says it all, doesn't it? The 8th inning of a 2-run game at the time. Nick Kurtz, another highlight to his historic rookie season, demolishing a 493-foot grand slam to open the A's lead up to 6.
Yeah, get this. It was the longest home run by an A's player since StatCast started tracking in 2015, and also the longest grand slam in Major League Baseball in that same time frame. At over 114 miles an hour off the bat, a 493-foot home run, the longest home run since 2023. Here's the reaction from Lawrence Butler and Mark Kurtz.
I think we're gonna have to make up a new word for what he did to that ball. That was insane. I mean, he's done insane stuff all year. I mean, I don't know what else he has to do to top everything he's did this year. I mean, this is one of the greatest rookie years I've ever seen.
I really can't speak anymore about Nick. I don't know if there's words that can describe that at bat in terms of, he continues to just impress, and the impressive thing is, I mean, the emotion that he shows it's not a ton, right? But the impact on that baseball was one like I've seen with a couple guys that have showed up today and were a part of that Hall of Fame ceremony. And I think you guys know who I'm talking about, but Conseco McGuire used to hit balls like that.
Yeah, so Kev, it seems like Nick Kurtz just each and every week making headlines, making history, and this time putting the league on notice with that big grand slam. So, you were there. How impressive was it to just watch this in person? And how do you think this guy can keep the goods going after a rookie season that's as historic as this?
Well, in person, it sounded different off the bat, just an eruption. And to watch it clear the batter's eye out there, that's something really special to see. And we've been talking about this for a while. Nick Kurtz really becoming one of those players that when he comes up to bat, you stop whatever you're doing and you place your full attention on the TV screen. Or, of course, if you're in person, you're going to watch very closely. And, coming off of a season of destroying pitching, he is going to get pitched a little bit different next year as teams develop a book on him. But if he's as good as we all think he is, Kurtz is going to make those adjustments.
Okay, so now to another young stud who had just achieved a 2020 season.
In that same game, Lawrence Butler reaching the 20 home run and 20 stolen base mark on the season. That's a big feat for the 25-year-old who made his MLB debut in 2023. Butler stole 3 bases in that game.
Yeah, he had previously gone 40 games without a steal to that point, but now becomes the first A's player since Coco Crisp in 2013 to reach the 2020 mark, a milestone for the outfielder who also happens to be nominated for the 2025 Roberto Clemente Award. Meanwhile, as Kurtz has been displaying his power at the plate since he reached the bigs, catcher Shea Langeliers is showing the rookie a thing or two about power himself. He went deep in the first inning of that 5-4 win over Boston for his 30th home run of the season. Langeliers joins Terry Steinbach as the only catchers in A's history to reach 30 homers in a single season.
And 1 inning later, Kurtz hit his 30th of the season. He's the 3rd A's rookie to ever reach that mark, and it's fitting that both of them reach those milestones in the same game. They've been huge pieces of the A's offense this season, and of course are expected to be so for years to come.
Yeah, congratulations to all those guys. Now on deck, A's insider Jessica Kleinschmidt is going to join the show. We're talking Kurtz and Butler and so much more. And later, a trip to the farm, Mariah Janos is telling us all we need to know about the A's AA squad.
You're watching Covering the Bases with the A's.
All right, hey guys, so we are now joined by A's insider Jessica Kleinschmidt. Jessica, great to be with you. The big Amish, Nick Kurtz. We talk about him each and every show. Now, of course, this guy hits a grand slam. It's the longest home run we've seen in 2 years in the MLB, 493 feet. Tell us, you've been talking to a lot of the guys on the team about this. What's the reaction like?
Well, they're still wondering if it's actually landed yet, but I did talk to Zach Gallup and Jacob Wilson. There's a beautiful photo of these two reacting to it. So I asked Jacob the response that he felt when he saw this thing go over the fence. And he said, I've never seen a ball hit that far in my life in person. And Zach Gallup was very honest with me. He goes, well, if this is going to go on the record, I can't tell you 100% what I was thinking, but he did say, oh my God. And then he thought about it, like, how far did that thing actually go? And if you're making Jacob Wilson and Zach Gallup, who are known for both being consistent and having power, if they're in awe, something's going on. Obviously, the list goes on and on because the clubhouse was very, they give a lot of approved reactions to this hit. And it's just, what can Nick Kurtz not do? And I even asked Mark Kotze about that. I said, do you have any more words to describe this when it comes to Nick Kurtz and the season that he's having? And he said, not really. I've pretty much said them all. And if you add on to the fact that he has the power, and we've talked about that before, he's consistent and those at-bats are getting even better. So imagine this in the next few years.
I have one more question on this because it just seems like each and every week there's another thing that comes up and we keep thinking, how could this keep going on and on and on? But why do you think, Jess, this guy, Nick Kurtz himself as the human being, why is he going to be able to continue this in the future? Why is this not going to just be a one-off season of craziness? Why do you think this is going to continue next year?
It's a great question. And a lot of times it doesn't have to do with who they are on the field. Now, this guy's a leader for a rookie and a very quiet one at that, but he's also very competitive. And you can tell that because when he was injured for a little bit, he was biting at the bit to get back. And I think from that perspective, barring any injury, that's going to extend your career. You're going to have an illustrious career, and you're a team player as well. We talk about a lot of former catchers who are managers in the bigs, and for this guy, defensively, he's going to add on to it. And I think from that perspective, knowing he has that leadership approach, and yeah, he has those numbers and his accolades, it's probably going to be a shoo-in for AL Rookie of the Year. But anytime you talk about anything with him, he brings up the fact that he wants to do better for his team. And if you're like that, if you're selfless, just like Nick Kurtz, you're going to have a very long career.
All right, great to know. All right, another guy who was selfless and just had a tremendous career on and off the field, a great human being, Roberto Clemente. Now, of course, Lawrence Butler is nominated for the Roberto Clemente Award of the Year, representing the team. He's also now in that 2020 mark. So tell us about him. Why is Lawrence Butler perfect for that award?
It's been so much fun watching Lawrence Butler grow over the years because after you get drafted, you're not really sure what you're going to get. So his makeup is 80 grade and then some. And I think for the Roberto Clemente Award, we often forget the fact that these guys are just as important off the field as well. You mentioned the 2020 season, but he's a 2020 guy. He goes into the community. He works with the kids. The kids love him. He also doesn't lay off on the kids if they're playing sports. He wants to, make sure that they're giving it their best. He's a true athlete. And watching him grow just this season, accepting the fact that I am going to fail sometimes, and he's reacting to that really well, not trying too hard. And those things are certainly pouring over into who he is off the field. And let's be honest, he's such a presence in the clubhouse, in the dugout, on the field, off the field, everything he does. There's nobody better that's deserved of this.
Yeah, he's got that swag. Kurtz and Butler, two guys that little kids in the community can definitely look up to when they talk about A's baseball. Jess Kleinschmidt, thank you so much. We look up to you as well, Jess Kleinschmidt.
For 5'0" person, that's such a compliment. Thank you.
Hey, I'm not that much better off at 5'9". All right, Jess, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we keep talking about him, but he keeps giving us things to talk about, so why stop now? No, I'm not talking about Nick Kurtz. I'm talking about the A's top prospect, Leo DeVries. He's had quite the month in Double-A with Midland, and he's bringing it to postseason play against Amarillo. In Game 1, the 18-year-old cranked his 6th homer of the month, 5th against the Sod Poodles in the past 7 games. DeVries has amassed 7 multi-hit efforts in 9 games this month. Whew. But DeVries wasn't the only one delivering in Game 1. A's number 19 prospect, Nate Nankel, went 4 for 5 at the plate, including a 2-run homer that was absolutely smoked. And defensively, starting pitcher Gage Jump had a clean outing, going 5 2/3 scoreless innings with 8 strikeouts, allowing just 4 hits and a walk. The 3-game series continues throughout this week, and then postseason play gets underway at the AAA level as the Aviators begin their quest for the franchise's first ever AAA championship.
All right, when we return, we're giving you an update on the A's ballpark construction on the Strip, how you can monitor the progress.
And hey, before we head to break, Let's do some trivia. 13 athletics have won a Most Valuable Player award. That's 5th out of all 30 teams, actually. But one of the most famous players actually never won one of those awards. Which one of these guys, who all played on the same World Series teams in the late 80s, never put an MVP award on the shelf? Was it Mark McGwire, Jose Canseco, Ricky Henderson, or Dennis Eckersley? Hear the answer after the break.
You're watching Covering the Bases with the A's.
We're back with an answer to the question, which former A's star never won a Most Valuable Player award? The answer is Mark McGwire, actually. McGwire is one of the greatest power hitters ever. He's 11th all-time in home runs and slugging percentage, and he hit a home run every 10.5 bats over the course of his career. That is more than any other player in baseball history. And he's also not in the Hall of Fame thanks to issues surrounding performance-enhancing drugs. But there is no denying he is an A's legend who helped the team surge to new heights of popularity during his career. Okay, so by the mid-70s, the A's were unquestionably the class of Major League Baseball. 3 consecutive world championships, the only team other than the Yankees to do that. But a part of baseball that we kind of take for granted today threw a big wrench into the team's future: free agency.
After 3 consecutive World Series wins, the A's were on top of the world by 1975. They made the playoffs again that year, but this time couldn't quite make it past the Red Sox in the American League Championship Series. Then, all of a sudden, a major shift in baseball. That offseason, for the first time ever, players were allowed to become free agents. That meant owner Charlie Finley had to pay up or let the franchise cornerstones go. Catfish Hunter was the first, going to the New York Yankees, and then Finley tried to salvage the value of his remaining players who were set for free agency, trading superstar Reggie Jackson to Baltimore, and eventually losing Raleigh Fingers and Vida Blue, too. The A's struggled through the rest of the decade, and Finley sold the team in 1980. At that time, the A's added a local speedster named Ricky Henderson. He was a sensation from the start, setting a major league record with 119 steals in just his 3rd season. In fact, in 11 of his first 12 seasons, Henderson led the American League in steals. No one's ever come close to that. The team was getting better too, but before they reached their full potential, Ricky was traded to the Yankees. That didn't mean there wasn't exciting young talent on the roster, though, particularly with young power hitters Jose Canseco and Mark McGwire, the Bash brothers. Canseco won Rookie of the Year in '86 and McGwire in '87, and by '88, the rest of the team had rounded into form too, leading the majors with 104 wins. 2 new pitchers were key to this turnaround. Dave Stewart, who had mostly been a reliever, making the transition to a workhorse starting pitcher, and longtime starter Dennis Eckersley going the opposite way to the bullpen and becoming one of the greatest closers of all time. In '88, Canseco won MVP, becoming the first player in history with 40 homers and 40 stolen bases.
He's running. There's the throw. Number 40. Jose Canseco, the first man ever in big league history to do it. He's getting a standing ovation from his teammates on the top of the dugout steps.
After clinching the American League West Division,
fly ball, left field, Polonian over, on the line, waiting. A's win, A's clinch. The A's are the Western Division champions.
the A's swept Boston in the ALCS, setting up a rematch of the '74 World Series against the Dodgers. Game 1 seemed to be in hand with a 4-3 lead and ALCS MVP Eckersley on the mound, until a hobbled Kirk Gibson came in to pinch hit for LA and hit a game-winning home run. The Dodgers carried that momentum into Game 2, which they won, and then took 2-3 in Oakland to win the series 4-1, a big upset and a frustrating way to end the season.
But if there's one thing we know about this franchise, it's that throughout their history, they've been resilient, overcoming obstacles. Next week on Green and Gold Throwback, we're going to see how the A's overcame not just this disappointing World Series loss, but also a jolt from Mother Nature.
Thank you, Mike. Work continues on the A's new Las Vegas Strip ballpark. The team releasing these photos of construction crews making progress on the base of the structure as the new home of the Green and Gold begins to rise from the ground.
You can keep up with all the work live with the A's Las Vegas Ballpark Construction Cam. Take a look. It gets busier and busier down there each and every week. You can access this camera 24/7 at ballparkexperience.athletics.com/ballparkcam. Next, we're previewing the A's upcoming series with the Buccos, the last away series of the season for the guys. After wrapping up with the Boston Red Sox, the A's stay on the East Coast for a series in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, 3-game series taking on the Pirates. The Pirates sit in last place currently in the NL Central, already eliminated from playoff contention.
Yeah, it will be the last series the A's play away from home, and if you're traveling to see the game, unfortunately you're not going to be able to see Paul Skeens, but a lot of good pitchers on the mound like Bubba Chandler, a lot of good guys. But yeah, last away series for the A's this season.
It whips through the season, maybe 162 games, but it does go by quick, doesn't it?
100%. But that's a wrap on this edition of Covering the Bases with the A's. For the rest of the team here, Kevin Bollinger, I'm Mike Davis.
Thanks for joining us. We're going to be here next week. We're going to get things all wrapped up for the season and look ahead, obviously, to next year as well. Have a good day.